Okay. Okay. So we're going to talk about value today. Hey, Dan.
Hey Eric, we're doing episode 1 of Landscape Gems right
Yep.
now.
It's going to be so exciting when 10 million people see this.
This is going to be like a vintage piece of content
It will
that
be.
we harkened back to many, many times, and we'll have it looping on our private jet TVs or something down the road. This is sponsored by Landscape Marketing and SEO, by the
That's
way.
right. That's right. Yeah. I kind of suspect that we're probably not going to see it, have anybody see this or hear it.
Who knows?
But we'll
Maybe
make references to how our first podcast was such crap and
yeah, maybe we'll stumble upon some ridiculous epiphany that ends up going viral, and everyone will see this though. There's
that
always
could that could happen. Maybe we'll use SEO to really get a good title on it and
yeah,
just have and everybody's gonna see our first podcast and we'll be like,
go viral.
oh
Yeah.
crap.
Well, so you had referenced wanting to talk about value,
Yes. Let's
and
talk about value today on our first.
value of what? The dollar?
No.
Oh, different value.
Yeah. Well, first off, let me ask you, are you standing?
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm standing. I have a standing desk here.
Oh, okay. I didn't
So
even know that.
yeah, so I like moving around.
So what happens if a podcast episode lasts for 3 hours?
I'll stand for 3 hours.
It's good. Okay.
Maybe I'll get like a stool and then I can sit on a stool.
Yeah, that would work. Okay.
But it is better for, you know, I don't know.
It
It's
is.
better.
I've heard it's better. I've heard it's better. And I don't know why, but anyway,
Well, it's hard to have good posture in a chair. That's for sure.
what are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
So
Uh,
standing
you're
up is,
right. It is.
yeah.
But
I like your vintage Ghostbusters shirt, by the way.
oh, thanks. Thanks.
Wonderful.
I got it, I don't know, a year ago or something. I was like, I need more t-shirts, but
It's
I don't want to, you know, I don't know. What do I like? And I was like, oh, Ghostbusters were rad, and I saw it like on Amazon or something, and so
yes. Yes.
uh,
Well, should we talk about who we are a little bit?
I don't think anybody cares, but
Okay.
no, I'm just kidding.
You're
Yeah,
probably right.
I'll tell you. How about I tell everybody about you, and you tell everybody about me.
Okay.
All right. Should I go
Deal.
first?
Sure, because you're better than me. So we should save the best for last. No?
Okay, so about Dan. Born and raised in the Chicago area. He
Hmm.
has extensive experience in the field of recruitment. In fact,
Yes.
correct me if I'm wrong in saying this, but you were working in recruitment before you were probably even legally allowed to work because the company you worked for, you had some family there who kind of brought you on, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I was doing,
Oh, go ahead.
yeah, yeah. I'm just saying yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So, and now in your 30s, I mean that gives you, uh, I don't know, 20 plus years experience, probably
Yeah.
even close to 30 years of experience in the field of recruitment, which, by the way, will be valuable for another podcast episode down the line when people are
Totally.
looking to, how to find good, workers for their landscaping companies. Um, which
True.
we'll make a note of that after this. But
Yeah.
so you've been recruiting for decades. You've also made literally like tens of millions, if not more, in sales in the insurance industry. Is it tens of millions or hundreds or millions or
Over 100 million.
yeah. So that's another topic that we'll take up on another podcast is sales because you obviously you're good with sales. And that includes high ticket sales, that includes small sales, everything. And now you've lived all over. You lived in Chicago, you lived in Nashville, Arizona, currently in Florida. Uh,
Yep.
and you're also a founder slash co-founder of Landscape Marketing and SEO, and my co-host, Dan Eddington.
That was pretty good.
Thanks.
That's pretty good. Yeah. So,
Anything you want to add to that, by the way?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I will say that, the sales figures are team sales figures. So it's not just, that's not individual.
No, you're being modest.
Yeah, I mean, that's recruiting and training and getting production. My numbers obviously added to that. But anyway, no, that was very great. Thank you for that.
Sure.
So Erick Silvio Ricedo.
That's me. Tobes.
Huh?
You're Tobes.
My middle name is Tobias. Yeah. So I had a nickname of Tobes. If this goes viral, I'm screwed because that wasn't my favorite nickname, but it'll probably be a thing. Anyway, so you were born in California.
That's right.
Yes, in the Los Angeles area.
Yeah, within I think Los Angeles County. No, it might have been just outside of Los Angeles County, but anyway, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But you are originally, I mean, your heritage is Argentinian.
Yeah.
And but born in Los Angeles. And at one point was doing some personal development and taking a course and basically realized that he could learn and know about anything, and decided that he wanted to go into the technical field of SEO, search engine optimization, and not necessarily industry specific, but that he wanted to become basically a guru in that. And for the last pretty much decade, I have watched Erick do things that are really, really stellar examples of delivering for clients. And he has clients who've been with him for years and years and years in that subject, because they would never let him leave because he's basically built their business because he's so good at that. And we worked together briefly about, I don't know, 9 years ago.
Yeah, probably around there. Oh yeah, about 9 years ago.
Yeah, I was involved in sort of the beginning of him becoming great at this, and then things changed for me, but he kept going, and basically, I mean, here's what I can say is that since we launched this company, he has said, "Hey, let me show you this case study." And it's something that he'll do not even for a client, but he'll do for fun. And it is literally seemingly magical results that he can get, an entity, a website ranking tremendously fast and dominating, really the entire market that he's targeting. And so what I have come to understand is that not only are there many different ways of sort of attacking digital marketing, but a lot of corner cutting occurs, a lot of sort of I suppose non-ethical tactics occur. Erick does none of that. If you want the long-term result, and clients, the evidence is what he's produced that's still there. And you can look at, from attorneys to landscapers, roofers, across many industries, the results speak for themselves. So this is a person who has dedicated himself for basically a decade to be the best at this one thing. And so it made it sort of a no-brainer when he's said, let's do this venture. And because there's just absolutely no doubt that with that level of professionalism in delivery and proof, like I haven't shown these things to our clients even because I don't, it's not even necessary, but it's crazy the things that he does. So, if you're intelligent enough and you put the work in and you do the things that are not shortcutting, that take the long hours and the technical skill, then you get a real long lasting result. And so, Erick's super proud of what he's done, and, as professional as they come. So I know I sort of skipped ahead to what we're doing now, but
that's all right.
yeah, but I call him a guru. I don't know that he would call himself a guru, but there's pretty much nothing that I've ever said to him in the subject of what we do that he hasn't had an answer for or had experience with. And sometimes I'll think something's relevant and I'll be like, what about this? And he'll be like, yeah, I know all about that. And then he tells me about it. And I'm like, man, this is a pro. So
Thanks, dude.
yeah. So, it's one of the things that for me, just looking at the future and looking at what we want to do, I have no doubt what we can provide for our clients because Erick is at the helm of the delivery. And I know that we can get a better result than any other agency. I know that we will, and I know that we have. And so, that's what gives me the confidence in what we're doing and becoming the core source in this country for, resource for landscapers to grow their business. So anyway.
That's awesome, man.
How did you end the thing with me? Did you and Erick is the nucleus. So Erick, basically founded the company, has the technology.
Co-founded.
Yeah, okay. Again, co-founded. And he's the co-host of Landscape Gems. Sponsored by Landscape Marketing and SEO.
That's right. Boom. Yeah. Thanks, dude. That was a cool intro. It was longer than mine. I liked it. It was good.
Yeah, because I'm a rambler, self-admitted.
Well, if anybody watches this, I will say Dan is a very likable guy. And if you get on the phone with him, you're not going to want to get off the phone. He calls himself a rambler. I just think he's just pleasant to talk to. And
well, thank you. It goes both ways. I don't talk to other people for as long as I talk to you because you're equally likable and easy to talk to for long periods of time. So hopefully, because of this, we're both going to have a very successful podcast that people are going to listen to on their morning drive to their landscape bid or their what their burgeoning business.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that intro. Um,
Yes.
so I
Vice.
think the format that we were gonna try to do for our podcast is, generally speaking, we want to try to keep it around 30 minutes, and try
Yeah.
to offer something valuable to anybody listening. Um, and and we kind of started with the idea, well, at least I thought, let's talk about value. And you were kind
Yeah.
of like, what do you mean?
What do you mean by value? There's lots of
Yeah.
different values.
So I think more what I mean to say is like what makes an offer valuable? What makes something when trying to sell something, when trying to market something, what makes it valuable? And I'll actually tack on to this a little bit. I've been talking to you a lot recently about Dan Kennedy. For those of you who don't know, Dan Kennedy is an expert direct mail marketer. So he talks all about direct mail, doing mailings and ad copy and that kind of stuff. And this concept that he talks about a lot is something like, I'm paraphrasing here, but don't be a pest, become an invited guest or a welcome guest, something like that. Don't be a pest, be a welcome guest. And it ties into this concept of value. So I'm gonna tell you Dan Kennedy's story, and it's a short one, and I'm paraphrasing here. But he lived, and he might still live in Arizona. And one day, while he's home by himself, he gets a knock at the door. And he's annoyed by it. He's like, I'm not expecting anybody, so I'm not answering the door. And the knocking keeps happening. Again, he's like, oh, this person sucks. Like, nobody sticks around and knocks on my door like that. And then it starts like turning into like a slamming at the door. And he's like, okay, I'm about to go tell this person off. Like, and he opens the door, uh, and it was a man who said, hey, you've got a fire in your backyard, because it
Oh,
was so dry in Arizona. His backyard was literally on fire. And in that moment, that person was an unwelcome pest who turned into a welcome guest. Uh,
okay.
he offered something valuable. He had something of value to this person, to where it turned out not to be intrusive
Yeah.
for him to be there. So in marketing in general, and with sales, in crafting an offer of some kind, um, it's important that you don't become a pest. It's important that you have something of value to people. And in most cases, with a lot of landscapers who might listen to this, people are probably calling them, like, and saying, like, hey, I'd like your services. But when you start pushing out ads, or you start doing mailers and things like that, it's really important that you have something valuable for that person, so that it's not just like, I've got more junk mail, right? If you send
Yep.
out a postcard that just says, buy ABC Landscaping's services, like, they're gonna go, they're just gonna throw it in the trash. You might get a very, very small percentage of people who will actually take that up, but
Yep.
there is a way to change that around, to where a person receives your postcard, they receive your mailer, or they see your ad and they go, oh, dang, like, I'm really glad that they came up on my Facebook feed. I'm really glad that they mailed me this. Uh,
Yeah.
and that's kind of where I think value ties in with marketing. But it also ties in with your offer, right? And I think you're really familiar with that too, Dan, because we've both studied up on creating irresistible offers, and things that people just have a hard time turning down. Did you want to touch
Totally.
on this?
Well, yeah, yeah. Well, the one thing it makes me think of is just, you know, what a prospect is, right? Like you're trying to find a prospect from any marketing, someone who is a prospective buyer, which is someone who would have interest in your services or your product. And, you know, the goal is really to find those people so you can deliver a service. And that's, you know, there is a degree of ethics with that. And I think also why sales as a subject can have a bad name. And obviously, we'll, you know, we can go into this more later, but just to touch on it, as a salesperson, you know, this I can sell ice to an Eskimo type of thing is in there. And you know that you get the stereotypes or the stigma around, you know, a used car salesman or an insurance salesman. I was in the insurance industry for some years, and you know, all of that. And so that all can kind of get traced back to selling something to someone that they don't need or that's not really good for them. And so the undertone of all of it, which I think connects to what you're saying, is, you know, you're looking for someone who you can help and who actually needs what you have. And you know, we're not trying to go out there with a product or service and, you know, cram it down someone's throat who doesn't need it. I heard, I think it was Grant Cardone who said this, like, I would never sell ice to an Eskimo because they don't need ice, right? It would be, and convincing them that would be a lie. So anyway, that's what that made me think of.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. That makes sense. And I think when it comes to value, you know, um, some landscapers, if any landscaper listens to this, that they might have an idea of like a neighborhood they'd like to work in, or they've seen some very large houses, very affluent neighborhoods where they go, man, if there was just a way for me to get my foot in the door in that area, um, you know, offer them something valuable. That's what you do. You don't just, you know, don't be that annoying, don't annoy them with something, but you could send them a gift. And we talk about this in our top 7 ways of getting high paying clients in the most desirable neighborhoods.
Yes.
Which at some point we'll make a link to that where people can check it out. But um, you know, you can send them a small gift. You don't even have to spend a lot of money on it, but something that that's going to attract them, something that's going to essentially be a lead magnet, and not because, yeah, and not something that just says, "Hey, we're the best." Like, don't quit saying we're the best. Like, maybe you are the best, and you can tell people that at some point in the sales process and tell them why that's true. But you know, give them something that makes their life easier. And then on top of that, if you can craft an irresistible offer, something that a person can't say no to, that's how you can get your foot in the door. And maybe that's like, you know, that could be something as simple as your first cut is free, and we guarantee that you'll be so happy, um, you'll never want to see another landscaping company again. You know, it could be something like that. You add in the customer service with that. You know, your people who are delivering on that work provide an awesome job with awesome customer service, and now you've got your foot in the door. And yeah, it costs you some money that one day, but that same person in that very affluent neighborhood, they might be calling you in a couple of weeks to have them build a patio, or to, you know, for a big landscape design project, things like that. And just by getting your foot in the door, um, I mean, it could be potentially millions, depending on where you're targeting your marketing. So
Oh
I
yeah,
think that's kind of what I'm talking about with value. Did you have something you wanted to add?
for sure. Well, yeah, I mean, giving something away is always great, and making that thing valuable to the person. You know, if someone came by, and obviously someone would ideally notice that I need something, right? Drive
Mhm.
by, drive around the neighborhood, go, okay, his bushes need to be trimmed, or he, needs some weed eating or whatever. And if someone, because obviously I'm not on top of it, if that's the case,
Mhm.
someone comes to my door or what and says, hey, you know what? We're in the area. We'd like to just offer you a complimentary, if we can take care of these weeds, or if we can just trim your bushes really quick. We wanted to just show you, the value of our service, how good we are. This is no cost to you. Would you mind if we do this and then leave our information behind? If I'm not on top of it, there's a reason for it.
Mhm.
I don't have time. I don't know who to call. Maybe I just moved there. Maybe I just don't want to deal with it.
Mhm.
But probably no one is going to say no to that. It makes me think of yesterday or the day before. I had a guy knock on my door, and he
Mhm.
was a mobile detail guy.
Mhm.
And I had 3 cars out there, and he drives by and he gives me his card, and his card does not have, I mean, he's probably 19 years old.
Mhm.
He has a big truck that has his brand on it,
Mhm.
and he has a obviously a full water tank and everything set up in the truck. And he's he I went, I don't know how good he is, and I don't know what he charges. And I was also leaving, but um, I had one of my I have a nicer car that was there, and I
Yeah.
was like, well, I'm very meticulous about my car, so I don't know that I want to let him do it, or pay him to do it.
Yeah.
I think he's come by and said, hey, look, I can see the wheels on that car are pretty dirty. Can I just show you what I can do on the wheels, and no cost to you? And if you think I did a good job on the wheels, let me do the rest of the car. And if you can choose to pay me, if you don't think I did a good job, you don't have to pay me. I would
Wow.
have had to say yes to that.
Yeah.
I would have, and maybe it would have taken him an hour, you
Mhm.
know, but um, what that would have demonstrated to me is, wow, this guy's really good.
Mhm.
Look how great my car looks. Look how efficient he is. He did it out in the sun. He's all sweaty and working very hard. And it's funny because I ended up needing to clean my car the next day. I drove 30 minutes to a hand car wash place to get it done.
Yeah.
Um, and I think I paid them $30, which I thought was ridiculously cheap for the hand car
Yeah.
wash. Super, super cheap.
Yeah.
This guy, but this kid who came to my door quoted me. He said, I normally charge 120 a car.
Mhm.
And the thing is that I probably would have given him $120 if he would have started it that way. And
Right.
he's been a guy that I keep on speed dial and go, hey, I need my car wash. Can you show up? Can you show up tomorrow? Can you show up? That's because I don't have the time to go anywhere. But I
Right.
ended up going for a price, finding a place, that I could, to me was a little bit more reputable because they have a bay, it's out of the sun, the whole
Mhm.
thing. But again, just in terms of the value, he didn't really offer me any value. He
Right.
could, and I would
Right.
have been roped in. Like there's no way, because you can look at the car and go, it needs to get cleaned. Just like you can look at a lawn and go, it needs to get mowed. And a lawn's not going to get any better if it doesn't get mowed, or that bush isn't going to get any better. I mean,
Yeah.
so
Totally.
someone doing that, it's totally true. It's value.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you mentioned that because you're familiar with the value formula, and it includes you have essentially. I wish I had a whiteboard or something, but I don't right now. But you've got 4 sections, right? And in those sections, you have like a dream outcome.
Mhm.
Uh, and you also have the perception of whether or not that dream outcome can be accomplished. So, this is part of what adds value is, does your prospect or does your potential customer believe that you're going to achieve their dream outcome, right? In your case, with the car detailing, you said you went to a more reputable company, right? That you had the perception that a more reputable company is going to deliver your dream outcome of having a fully detailed car.
Yep.
And the same goes for, anybody in landscaping. Do you have any credibility? Do you have 300 positive reviews on Google and Yelp and all these places? Have you ever won any awards for the work you do or received any kind of recognition? If you want to break into the most desirable markets, these are things that are going to add value to your prospect. Is showing, yes, we have created our customers' dream outcome. What they wanted is what we've achieved, and we show that through our reviews. We show that through any recognition we've received, and so on.
And just having content out there. I mean, do you have pictures of your work on your website?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Is it clear that you can produce, if I were to Google that kid and he's got pictures of, Ferraris and Lamborghinis that he's detailed.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, these guys have, these are people who have an opportunity to go get the best, and they're obviously not cost conscious, but they're going to use them because of his quality of service. Like, it's proof. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wow, he must be really good if this dude's giving him his $300,000 car to detail and feeling confident that he's not going to scratch it or that he knows what he's going to do, because, you use the dirty rag once and you can destroy the clear coat on a car. So, yeah,
Well,
any web presence, everything you just said too, reviews, but having something that a person can look at.
Yeah, exactly. And then what also ties into the value formula is, what is your client or your prospect? What is the sacrifice on their end? And this doesn't really tie so much into the dream outcome that we were talking about, but it's something to consider because of, like, what I was talking about earlier about offering something of value for free, right? Sending a gift or offering a free cut. What are you doing there? You're taking away the client's sacrifice. They don't have to spend any money. They don't have to spend any time, and that becomes valuable to them, right?
Yep.
So, and that's how one of the ways that sites like Netflix, companies like Netflix became so popular. And essentially you had Blockbuster. If you wanted to rent a video, you had to drive to a location, you had to pick a video, you had to search this location for the video, and then pay money, and you had to drive back and return it. Well, Netflix came around and they said, you don't have to sacrifice your time anymore. You could just stay home.
Yeah.
And you'll pay less than you would pay if you were going to a Blockbuster. That's all they did, was they got rid of the sacrifice that their customers were making on a daily basis.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be massive either. I mean, don't forget about Redbox. Obviously,
Totally. Yeah.
Redbox arguably put Blockbuster out of business.
Yeah,
and all it did was reduce it, right? Like, you don't have to go in this store. It's less sacrifice of money. You can just walk up to this machine and it's at the grocery store. So while you're going to this place anyway, you can rent a movie where you're getting your food. And then the next week, when you go to your grocery store again, you can drop it off and deposit it in that machine. So that was like one step in a direction. And had Netflix not come along, Redbox would have probably continued to be the convenient, thing, and people would still have DVD players. But anyway, yeah,
Right.
it doesn't have to be a massive thing in order to have success is the point I'm saying with that. But the better you can do, I don't think anything's gonna trump Netflix except for arguably YouTube. I think I think YouTube will take over and will end up being the sort of central hub. I don't think, because you can watch any movie on YouTube and you can
I could see that too. I mean, Google owns YouTube and they're just huge, so
yeah,
I could see it happening. I don't know that that's necessarily their priority right now. Um,
probably not.
but down the line. But yeah, you're exactly right. And since I've already talked about, three of the parts of the value formula,
Mhm.
we might as well mention the final part, which is time delay. How long does it take to get the result that they're after? And companies like Amazon killed it with this when, they introduced Amazon Prime. Um,
Yep.
you order something, it's at your door within 24 hours.
Yeah.
Things like
So
that. Now,
yeah.
in the landscaping industry, and part of the reason why I thought to mention this last is um, there's not always a lot of wiggle room on how long it takes to deliver. But there are things you can do in terms of, I mean, just to give you an example, there are, and I don't know if you're aware of this, you might be, but there are lots of companies out there, lots of landscapers who, when somebody calls, they're not even answering their phone. And
Oh my
that's like,
gosh.
and I'm sure there's plenty of people who will listen to our podcast who agree that's one of the dumbest things you can do. But you're adding that time. Like, yeah, you know, the person who makes that call, like if you're not answering, they're on the phone with another company within a couple of minutes. But if you do answer, and if you can tell them, yeah, I'll be over there in 30 minutes,
Yep.
like your chances are you're getting that deal. That in itself is valuable. Um,
Yeah. Time kills all deals.
oh,
Time kills all deals.
exactly.
If you, it's arguably the easiest thing to fix,
Yeah,
or to bring value, to is the reduction in time. And especially if you're trying to get to affluent areas, people who are affluent don't have a ton of time and they're all time conscious. So you want the big, huge house. That house is owned by some CEO. That guy doesn't have time to be calling down a list. He wants someone who can give him on-demand service, and who's reputable and all of that.
yeah,
But I've been there. I've also, I've purchased services and said, when can you install? When can
mhm,
you be here? And sometimes that's when can you do the job? And if someone says, well, we're booked out. Oh, we're booked out. Like, if I wouldn't tell someone that you're booked out, I would accept the job, book it, and then later figure out how to deliver. Even if you have to hire another crew or sub it out or whatever, because every time someone has said, oh, we're booked out for the next 60 days, I'm like, why are you telling me that? You're just telling me what you can't do for me instead of being agreeable and telling me what you can do.
sure.
Like, you know, and there's no it's, and then they leave it at that. Well, I don't know, because we're booked out, and that's a whole nother problem. But
Right.
if
And
you're
we'll
booked,
probably, yeah, because I
yeah,
think in a future podcast episode, you'll probably, talk up how, to hire, how to not get
for
uh
sure, for
overwhelmed
sure.
with, being overbooked and uh booked out for several months and and that's a big part of scaling, of course, too. But
Yeah, that comes later. I mean, that's like something that once your product is there, you have some degree of branding, and you have a lot of leads coming in. How do you grow and scale and deliver, uh, at increasingly higher levels? That's a whole other subject. So,
yeah, yeah.
but
Well,
Yeah.
that said, I think we're probably more than 30 minutes. I haven't been keeping
Wait,
track of time, but
but it doesn't say a time on here, does it?
I don't think so. But that's cool.
Oh,
I was gonna say this might be a good point to uh tell people about what we offer that is valuable for them. Not necessarily a sales pitch, but our free gift basically for landscapers.
totally.
And that is a guide that we laid out with basically top 7 ways to get a flood of high paying clients within the most desirable markets and without necessarily being having to be an expert in marketing. We basically compiled this data uh, both from our experience, but also from the experience of some of the top marketers in the world to just generate a flood of high paying clients. And we basically put together this PDF and we're giving it away right now. And these are actionable things that you can do as a landscaper today. And you don't have to pay anything for it. And that's our way of being a welcome guest rather than a pest, so to speak.
And
uh,
it is workable. Like, you know, I've seen things like that are out there, like, you know, things that you can apply or things that you can implement. And it seems like it leads to something else that you have to do or whatever. This is not that way. There's no
right.
missing part. These are things that you can fully implement, and it will work, and it
Mhm.
will get movement for your company, and your marketing. And so, you know, definitely grab onto that. Are we going to put a link or?
Yeah, we'll probably put a link on like the on YouTube or something like that. Or I'm not gonna lie, this is our first podcast. I don't know if you can put links in podcasts. I don't think you can. So we'll
If it's
probably
on
put
it,
it on YouTube or on our website. Definitely on our website, landscapemarketingseo.com. And you can pick it up there, or you can click the link in YouTube. And
yep.
if we have other social media profiles, I don't know if we're gonna really build out other ones. We might. So we'll probably
I
have to.
think we'll be all over. I think we'll be all over. But I will say also, you know, we just, so if you're just starting out as a landscaper, we have services that will help you for hardly anything if you want us to do some of the work. You know, all the way up to, you know, if you're 20 plus million, we can handle big clients like that, and we have clients of that size as well. So
Sure.
whatever level you're at, you know, give us a call or hit us up on the website. Definitely download that resource as well.
Heck yeah. That said, I think we are out.
Okay, until next time.
Uh, Outro music.
Outro music.